That is always my backup though, for any time somebody is like asking these questions. I always go to that in my brain. I was like, okay, there's always a certain level of like, people are going to view this way and people are going to view this way. But like, there is that general rule that's always your fallback. Like, does this look to the majority of the people, do I look wrong for doing this? And if the answer is yes,
Then probably yes.
let's stop.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be careful about that kind of stuff.
Hey, what's up, guys? It is Daniel here. Welcome to the Brothers in Bible Nerds podcast. And today I have with me my brother in Christ and by marriage, Cortland. He's back.
I'm back.
And today we have our friend Joe. He is here. Joseph Lueras, check out his music.
No blood relation.
No blood relation. But yes, whoever you are and however you stumbled onto this podcast today,
Welcome
to the Brothers in Bible Nerds podcast, dude. That was brilliant. So today we're here and we look like we're in a studio, but no, we're still in my house.
That's right.
You can tell by the couch. Just don't look at it too closely. It's not good. It's not good. It's a old used couch, but that's okay. And a used table. This is
used is great.
Used is great. If it ain't broke, don't fix
if
it.
it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Wow.
So today we're going to be talking about the topic of worship. And I thought it would be really cool, since all three of us have been involved in worship bands and leading worship, and we've all talked together about our different opinions with music, worship music specifically, the way it is today, and just ideas that we've had, like with when it comes to hymns, how it's affected us too. Because I think for the most part, like you and I, we kind of grew up on the Bethel Hillsong type.
I discovered that more when I was in my
That was more when you were in your
mid-teens to later teens. Grew up more on like the older stuff, like Keith Green.
Oh right, yeah, of course, yeah,
the classics.
Toby Mac and
Toby
stuff.
Mac,
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Toby Mac.
But worship music was very.
Oh, yeah.
Bethel was huge in our church, and so what was that band name? Rend Collective. I think it was Rend Collective. My Lighthouse. Those songs.
That mandolin band. Yep.
Yeah. That was big in our church too. But so I want to start off, Joe. What has your journey looked like been as far as basically being a part-time, and in some cases you were a full-time worship leader, and that whole process, how you got into it, and what style you typically like doing?
Wow, you just threw a lot at me.
I did.
Break it down, dude.
Break it down.
How did I get into this? Is kind of the
how did
start,
you?
right?
Yeah, let's do. How did you get into music, and then how you got into doing worship, which they kind of fit together. In a way.
They really fit together. So I got into, I don't know whether or not to look at the camera.
You
you
can glance at it every once in a while.
No, but I got I always wanted to play an instrument my whole life. It just seemed so cool, and I always wanted to play like the electric guitar. I had an electric guitar for a long time, but I just never could quite get the hang of it. And one day I bumped into this video, and there was this person playing the ukulele, and I was like, oh, that looks easy. I was like, I think I can do that. So I got a ukulele, and I just fell in love with it. And very quickly I was like, I want to like do worship. Like I want to be part of that whole thing. In my church, it was particularly easy for me to get into because my dad's the pastor. So it's like, I was like, basically just told him like I want to do this, more or less. Didn't have to really go through any screening or anything because again, my dad was kind of awesome.
I started being a part of it. That should tell you everything you need to know.
No, but yeah, it was very, very quick, and that was awesome for just my ability to get better, just doing it as part of a group. But it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
When did you
How I
start?
got into it. I started Ooh, I am 23 now, and I think I started when I was about 17.
Okay.
Was when I got
Yeah.
my ukulele.
Yeah.
And that was when I would truly say I started
Yeah.
learning music. I mean, throughout my childhood, I kind of dabbled a little bit, but never really caught on to anything. So
Yeah.
17 is about when I started.
Yeah. And we were all in a band together too.
Yeah.
So
You can't find our music
I
anywhere.
can't find our music
No.
because we haven't released
We're working
it.
on that very, very slowly,
Very-
but
yes,
eventually we'll get
incrementally.
something out.
One of these days.
So far, it's just
Bring the band
me
back to-
separate. You got some separate music.
Resurrect the band again.
We got
someday.
some stuff on Spotify, but not
Not
as
band
a not as a
related.
group.
That was back when we were like teenagers and we kind of are like,
I know it feels like it wasn't that long
It
ago,
feels
but
like
then
it
I
wasn't
start
that
thinking
long
about
ago.
it, and I'm like, that was forever
Yeah.
ago.
I
That
opened my
was-
guitar case. It's like memories
Yeah.
because that was so long ago.
It was. I mean, we had our concert in, it was 2019.
September,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it was like that. Just still feels so recent.
2019.
Yes,
I know.
It feels so recent, but the
You start thinking
kicker to
about how
me
long
is, like,
ago 2019 was, and it's weird.
because I feel like we just had COVID. I feel like COVID happened last year,
No, totally.
Yeah.
and it was 5
still
years
there.
ago.
Yeah.
I know.
Dude, when COVID happened, you and I weren't even in relationships.
No,
Like it just
when
before,
COVID. Yeah,
but-
I met my wife, a week before the shutdown happened,
right.
Yeah.
and so that's when it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
The
And
amount
now
of stuff
you
that
have two
happens.
kids. I have
kids,
a
yeah.
kid. You're married. We're all married.
You just got married.
Yeah,
yeah.
just got married. Yep. What would have been?
It's
It's
getting close to 2 months.
close
like
to 2 months,
about
yeah.
a week away or so.
yeah. I'm losing track of time, dude. It's moving quick.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. But you've also done some worship leading,
Mhm.
Cortland. What got you into that? What got you into music and got you into doing worship?
Well, what got me into music is I just decided one day, I think I was 15, so 12 years ago. Holy cow.
Wow, you're
I
old.
need to almost 13 years ago. Wow, that's a lot.
Dating yourself.
Exactly. It's like you just have a vision of just like, and it goes back and you're like, holy cow, I'm sold.
Yeah.
But I'm not to half the people watching.
Yeah.
So I was 15. I remember asking for a guitar for my birthday. What my parents have always done is that if you're interested in a instrument or a hobby, they get you like a cheap version of it.
Yeah.
And then if you pick it up and you're actually interested in it, then
Mm-hmm.
you can, they'll get you something better, or you can get your own. And so I got
100% the right way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Totally.
and so I got a Rogue guitar, an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
Nice.
But they're pretty solid
They're-
for a cheap
for-
brand.
They're cheap, but they're built like
Yeah.
a tank.
Exactly.
They're pretty tough.
It's like
Cheap
it's like
guitars.
a Nissan.
Rogue
you know?
is kind of underrated. It's definitely on the cheaper end, but it's kind of underrated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
on
I
all
mean,
instances.
if you
it-
want to learn guitar
don't-
and you can get your hands on a Rogue,
Yeah.
get a
exactly.
Rogue.
do it.
Don't compare it to like top brands because it's
No.
not going
No,
to compare.
not
It's in
even
its own
close.
class.
Yeah.
But
It's like buying an old Toyota.
they're going to
You
be
know.
a little hard to play, but they're going to stay pretty much the same for a decade.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got that. I was having trouble learning, because at first, you get the book and it shows you each individual note. So you're
Yeah.
playing like Mary Had a Little Lamb, and you're like, is this all there is to guitar? And so I did the whole book thing. Did it with my sister Mariah, who I don't think she plays guitar anymore. And so we were doing the plucky little tunes, and I'm like, this is
Yeah.
honestly kind of boring. Like, there's got to be more than just this. And so then I looked up some YouTube videos on like chords and chord progressions, and a whole new world opened up. And they're like, oh, I can actually play songs. Like, I don't have to
Yeah.
do the song in single note form. I can do
Yeah.
chords. And then, from there, it's like every time you accomplish something, it feels like a new level unlocked. Like, oh, now I can do bar chord.
Dude,
That was a bad voice crack.
Voice cracks are part of the.
And that's about how the bar
Drink- yeah,
chords
drink-
sound at first.
That's actually true. That's valid.
Water dirt.
Yeah, water
Bar
break.
chords.
So like, and then you learn bar chords, and it's even more stuff opened up, and then you learn how to, I don't know, dabble a little bit in the
Yeah.
and then you start getting
you get into like pentatonic scales, and you're like, oh, I
Those
can
are
kind
fun,
of like
dude.
freestyle a little bit.
yeah, and then from there, I built an electric guitar because I wanted to be able to do more of the the freestyle stuff, which is kind of hard on acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
They're not really built for that. I mean, classical
Can,
guitars,
but it's
you
not
can.
as satisfying.
No,
It's
yeah, exactly.
Not as light on the touch.
No, and the strings are a lot closer to the frets, and they're easier to bend and play with. So built an electric guitar. Dad got me a kit.
Yep.
And it was the worst guitar ever, but it got me. I mean, the strings were probably almost half an inch from the fretboard.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what I was doing. I just put it together. I'm like, all right, it sounds fun. Now let's shred. And so I
Right.
did, and learned some more stuff, of course. Then I forgot when I got involved with sound at church. I think
Oh yeah, you got involved in sound.
I did
first.
sound first.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what kind of turned me on to, the worship thing.
It's kind of my progression too.
Mhm.
I was doing overhead projector, and then you moved to the sound,
Yes.
Yeah.
and then
You've graduated.
You graduate. Yeah.
No, I was trained on big old music board at church. We don't have a big church. Probably, I think when I was going, like 100 people, 75, 100 people
Yeah.
per Sunday, which is, average small town church.
Mhm.
It's
Big
actually not
soundboard.
too bad for Eureka, but
That isn't too bad, no. So started on a soundboard, learned all the technical terms and, mids, highs, lows, integrating, call down. Hey, the band members during practice will say something like, I need a little more, I want to hit a little more highs in my guitar.
Yeah.
And then, you do the walk around, you go downstairs during practice and you kind of like close your eyes and just listen, see what needs to be turned up or turned down, which looks weird, but it's actually really great. It's a great way to do it. You get all corners of the room.
yeah, you get the different perspectives of
Yeah.
the crowd.
Yeah, basically. All right, this needs to be turned up a little bit. So you go up there, make a change, and then basically you do that. And then I did that for years. And then my pastor, or I think I don't know if he was the pastor yet. I'm not going to name drop. He was the worship leader, and then he asked me if I would be able to do, I think I started Wednesday nights. Because first I started with doing bass. That's
Right.
how you get in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always
That's always how you get in.
That's
Oh yeah,
what you did.
I forgot
That's
to
what
add
you
that.
did too. Pretty
Yeah,
much.
I think
Yeah.
I might have done a little bit of ukulele, but for
Right.
the most part, I was like, we need a bass guitar for worship, so that
Yeah,
was
exactly.
definitely what I was doing.
I forgot to add that to my story of learning instruments. I did that, then
Oh yeah,
bass, and then drums.
lots of things.
Bass is so fun. It's better to
Bass
learn
is so
guitar
fun.
first and then bass because it's like
bass gets
it's like
so much more fun.
you can learn
Yeah.
it in a half hour.
Yeah.
Whereas I know people who learn bass first and they're like, guitar is like the hardest thing on the planet.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah. I mean, bass is basically a super dumbed down version of guitar. So if you
Yeah.
master guitar first, you can do bass. Played bass, loved doing that. It's a super simple instrument, especially to play in front of people because it's single
It's a
notes.
great way to get into
Involved, yeah.
if you just like really
Yeah.
want to do something and you like have a group that needs a bass.
Yeah.
play
Exactly,
bass.
so-
It's fun.
And it's very
It's
rhythm,
really
very
satisfying
Yeah,
to
rhythm-based.
play.
It's so fun to play, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
You carry the band kind of on your back with the drums,
Yeah.
and then you learn how to riff with that stuff. Dual notes and tones and whatnot.
yeah,
Yeah,
And,
especially
kind of
playing with your
learning the
dad
like
on the
dude, it's
drums.
so fun.
yeah.
Yeah, because he's
I miss those
fantastic.
days. Yeah, he's been playing since he was 7. So,
Yeah.
so got a leg in with bass. Started playing bass on Wednesdays, and then asked me if I would be able to do Sundays too. So, traded off with a few other people, with bass, and then eventually, I remember I was working. I was in LA actually, at a race in the middle of rebuilding one of my boss's engines, and Nate texted me. He's like, "Would you be able to start leading worship Wednesday nights?" And I was like, freaked out because from
Yeah,
bass to
that's-
leading worship is huge difference. Now you're singing.
It's kind of
and
scary
playing a more
because even if
complicated
you know
instrument.
what you're doing, you're
Terrifying.
like,
Yeah.
I have to lead these people,
Uh-huh.
and like if like it doesn't sound good, it's to a certain degree gonna be my fault because like you're in charge of like who plays when, where,
Exactly.
and and like
And
yeah,
those thoughts will get into your head while you're trying to lead
Oh,
worship. It's
you
terrible.
sometimes you can't control it.
Yeah.
Like I would get so nervous,
Mm-hmm.
and I would just be like, I wouldn't get all sweaty or like start stuttering, but like I'd mess up, and it would just like be a monkey wrench.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah,
it's just like
and it's my biggest like thing with learning to play in front of people was just learning to laugh at myself. It was huge, and I mean, there is something to be said for that's really the attitude you should have. You do want to work on not being too uptight, because I mean, with worship music, it's not about you, right?
Exactly.
Like you're there to help
exactly.
lead,
Right.
and if you mess up, it's like
We're here to worship God.
if it's it's that's not the problem.
It's different.
And
Yeah.
so I went from that. I'm just finishing the story because I was on a roll.
No, you got it. Take it.
And so initially my first response was going to be like, no, I'm good. You know, like my immediate human thought was to pass it up because it was nerve wracking. And I've never been in that territory before. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, before I sent that text, I was like, you know what, let me think about it and pray about it. And then I texted back an hour later. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And then he's like, all right, we'll start you out on Wednesday nights because
Yeah.
it's not as big as of a crowd and it's, less,
Yeah.
less
A
pressure.
little bit of a build up
Yeah.
rather than throwing you right into the sharks.
Mm-hmm. So
Not that the congregation are sharks,
well,
metaphorically
Depends.
speaking.
it depends.
Hopefully not.
Started with some simple songs, of course,
Right.
like Amazing Grace, stuff to get your feelings out. And then, build up to better songs, more complicated songs. Wednesday nights, and then I started leaking into doing Sundays if I needed to. And then Wednesday I'd play bass or drums if I needed to fill in for that. And then, or worship, whatever I need to do. And then Solid Rock, where I met my wife, gathers on Thursdays.
Mhm.
And so they asked me to start leading worship there. Once I started leading for my church,
I could hear it.
the
Like,
typing, my
mhm.
bad, okay.
Yeah, it's these guys. I think it
Yeah,
needs
it's
something soft
amplifying.
under.
Once
soft
I
So it's
started
your
leading,
fault.
yeah,
It's my
Sorry.
fault. It is
Continue.
my fault.
once I started leading for church, a bunch of doors opened up, and it was pretty crazy
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
then I was asked for Solid Rock, the college group. They asked me to start leading worship, and so I did. And then a year later, the youth group that gathers on Friday nights at AFB,
Mm-hmm.
Peter asked me to start leading there, and so I did that too. So now I'm doing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday worship sets, and it was great, but it was a lot.
Oh yeah, no
Yeah.
kidding.
I got
you
burnt
have to
out.
deal with a lot.
I did that for like 3 years, and it was just. I got to the point where I was like, once I kind of stopped, I pulled back from Solid Rock because I got married, and that's kind of a college group, and it's great.
yeah.
But now your life changes,
Oh,
and
yeah.
so you can't. Could we have still gone? Of course, but it's like,
Yeah,
it's time to. It's
life,
a chapter.
Life
It's
is
a chapter.
different. Life is
And
different.
that's kind of got to be like I feel like a little bit of a couple calling to be able
Exactly.
to still invest that much time into something like that.
Right.
Which
Exactly.
That kind of happened with you a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's definitely a certain amount of
Well-
that there because Amanda's plays guitar and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
So
So
pulled out of
that's-
that. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Go for it.
You're
So I
good.
pulled out of Thursday, and then about 6 months later, pulled out of Friday. Stopped
Mhm.
doing the youth group thing. And then I love those kids so much, though.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
great.
Right.
If any of you are watching, I still love you. It wasn't personal.
It's hard.
It is hard. It is. And then when I got married, we decided to go to Telios, which is closer to where we live.
Mhm.
Basically, sister church to Calvary Chapel, Eureka.
Yep.
A lot of the members, are either at one or the other, and it's great.
Telios is at Calvary.
It is. It's
Yeah.
Calvary based. So I had to pull out from Wednesday. That flies out for blood. I had to pull out of Wednesdays at church and Sundays, and that was kind of like a big whoa, time to take a big break. And so
Yeah.
that's how it's been for the past 3.5 years.
Yeah.
And I'm open to
Yeah.
I'm just taking a break right now.
Yeah.
Well,
It's been long enough, but having kids kind of like,
it kind of oh no, kids. Yeah, it's like
yeah.
but it reminds me of what happened with you because you were doing. Okay,
Yeah.
you weren't doing worship for harvest.
We had
but
a-
you were doing. Were you doing worship for harvest at all?
I helped. I haven't.
Okay.
I led once, and I'm actually going to be leading with Amanda the next couple of Sundays.
Oh, nice.
But
My
yeah,
uncle missed you guys.
Oh yeah.
Rick.
Does he go there?
Rick's your uncle.
Yes.
That I knew
Yeah.
you were related, but I didn't realize that was the relationship. Honestly,
Yeah.
no, yeah, it totally. That was one of those things where we liked harvest a lot, but we decided we were going to pick one, and
Yeah.
we kind of were just like,
You would miss-
there's
you would miss
there's
me too
younger
much.
friends
Mm-hmm.
at my dad's church, so that was
Yeah.
kind of the main reason we ended up choosing that. But
Yeah.
it was
It's
awesome.
hard.
I loved going there, and we're still open to we're going to lead worship there because they need it for the next couple of Sundays. So that's cool. But yeah, totally. As you were talking about all that, I
Yeah.
was like, totally. The windows opening up it really is crazy. Just the way those things will happen. I mean, there's so much need.
There is.
And it's always
Yeah.
funny the things that are needed. You're like,
Yeah.
you need like an acoustic guitar or you need drums or
Right.
bass. Like these are all like the core instruments, but you got everything else. Like you got more than enough keyboard players, but you can't find a single drummer.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious, dude. It's
I love it though,
hilarious.
but I play a lot of instruments myself,
Yeah.
so it's opened up so much room for just like I'll tell people like, hey, like if you need help, like you can contact me. I'll see if I can do it. And up until I got married, I was really flexible, so it was
Yeah.
like I pretty much could be called and like maybe even day of like
Yeah.
do stuff. It was cool, but yeah, I did helped out with Faith Center because
Yeah.
I was with their youth group, which I got to the youth group because of TLC, and last year I did 3 weeks of the worship leading
Worship
last year,
leading
which
at
was
the
awesome. That
church.
was
Nice.
I've been so excited to possibly do that in the future, and was kind of a dream of mine to go out and do that. And that was such a cool experience being able to lead those kids.
Oh
and
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, it was awesome. I'm really sad I'm not there right now.
Faith
but-
Center's a big church, dude. That's
yeah,
awesome.
Faith Center.
Yeah. Yeah, and the last minute thing. Yeah, I because when you were doing that a lot, what was funny is they were trying to find somebody to do worship at our church, and they completely forgot that that I played, and so I'm like, you guys know I can play because your dad was just kind of like, well, I guess I could play, and then I was like, well, if you want to, and then your mom started like texting me like
Yeah, so now you're in
usually the
rotation.
Saturday and the day before, because I told her I'm like I'm practicing through songs and then I can just do it whenever. And when you put that out there, people are
Yeah.
they're gonna take advantage
There
of it.
is like I said,
It's
there's
a good thing.
There's a need, and there's
Yeah.
pretty much always, like, even if there's a regular person, I mean, there's always need for backup help and,
Yeah.
and whatever. And yeah, that was definitely a big part of the reason too why we were like, we need to choose a church, because it was kind of throwing things off with that too, where it's
Yeah.
like I didn't know sometimes which Sundays I would be gone
Right.
super
yeah.
far in advance. And yeah.
Yeah.
And that was, I had to kind of back out of helping out Faith Center too, because I was just like, three
It's too
churches
much.
in the mix,
Yeah.
even though Faith Center was by far the least of the three. I was just like, it was too much. And
Yeah.
I really wanted to be able to help everybody, but there was a point where I was like, I can't help the churches that also need me and I have more commitment to. So
Yeah.
I was like, I
Yeah.
had to kind of back out of that. But then
It happens.
I've kind of somewhat continued up until marriage again, till now,
Yeah.
of not helping with their Mondays, but they have something going on their Monday that I still help out with sometimes,
Oh, nice.
which
Yeah.
is cool.
Yeah. No, that's really cool.
Works out with my schedule still.
Nice.
Yeah. Briefly, I got into music and then played with people.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. It was pretty much, yeah. My mom got me onto learning the piano quickly because I really enjoyed it, and so piano, and then drums, and I occasionally did stuff with my church's worship group, and it always wasn't good because I was 12. So like I did one song once, and it was like horrific. I would never want to look back at it. But
Wait, hold
Yeah.
on. Let's talk more.
No,
about
no,
that.
no,
I think
wait,
we've all
wait,
been
wait.
there.
I'm gonna
though.
breeze. I'm gonna breeze
Wait.
through that real quick.
Wait, hold on. I've never heard this story.
Oh yeah. So basically, church was like, "Hey, you should do a song for worship."
You were
Like
12.
singing a song.
Oops. You're
Yeah.
12.
Yeah, I was 12.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the worst time
And
to do
what
it.
did
too.
you sing?
It was "Build Your Kingdom Here" by Ren Collective.
Oh. Were you in middle of puberty?
Oh yeah, dude.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was rough. But yeah, and during that time I started picking up the drums. And then the drums was pretty much the thing I played in band, and then occasionally play guitar, and guitar actually got me back into music, and then I started getting back into piano. And then yeah, just been doing music ever since, and whenever I'm needed as doing worship, then I'll do that. And so that's my experience, but
Yeah.
I love it. It's so much fun. And I especially love like playing with you guys. Like whenever you and I playing together, literally for the most part, because I just have the cajon, you know, and our church is like a home group, so it's pretty, you know. So I'll just hop on the cajon, and like more often than not, because there's some times where I'm just like, okay, I'm not sure what to do here,
Yeah.
or you know, and
It's a rare
excluding mess
occasion
ups.
that I throw in a new song.
Oh yeah. And
bad at
or I
that.
forget, but it's so easy to pick up what you're doing because I played so much with you, and just playing music together is just there's nothing like it.
dude.
There's nothing like it.
It
Simple
is pretty
three-piece.
awesome.
Yeah,
Guitar, cajon, bass.
yeah. Being a multi instrumentalist helps a lot.
It does.
It helps
That's how
a
I was
lot.
able to
Yeah.
fill in a lot of slots where I could.
Yeah.
Mine was just I couldn't stick with just one instrument.
Me neither.
No, I
They
couldn't either.
all
Yeah.
drew me. I was like, they're all so cool. And I'll
Yeah.
listen to music and I'll
Yeah.
hear like parts from different songs that I'm like,
Yeah.
that's really cool. That's really cool.
Dude,
And
same.
I'm always hearing different instruments that sound really cool. So it's
I have a
It's an addiction.
saxophone
yeah.
at home that I'm gonna try to learn
Same.
someday.
Yeah, I've got an alto.
The bad thing about those is that you can't really practice quietly.
No, it was the same thing with violin. Like
Yeah.
I've had a couple of violins that the reason I've had a couple is because I've gave up and got rid of one, and then I was like, I want to do this again, so I got another one. But dang, it's really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of everything I've played, nothing compares.
Violin
I
is
could
just-
put all of my experience from everything I've ever played into a violin, and I'd still be bad at it.
It's really hard.
It's crazy.
Dang.
And I was also trying on a undersized violin. I was not playing on a full size violin, and that didn't help. And I'm not a child. They already got the tiniest necks. I kid you not, the top of a violin neck is probably about that thick.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
at least a 3/4. They're crazy.
Wow.
That's insane.
I like my mandolin. It has frets.
yeah.
It's still small, but it has frets.
It has
Yeah.
frets, exactly.
You have the fingers for mandolin anyway.
Yeah. I've been playing a lot of mandolin. That's actually my main instrument these days. And
You're
it's
good
awesome.
at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic at it. That one sounds amazing.
You're the next Ren Collective.
Speaking of which, I kind of wanted to do worship can be controversial to say the least.
To say the least.
To say the least. I mean, all you have to do at a church is just mention reckless love, and you'll get like a church split.
You'll get
Oh
you'll
my
get
gosh.
stoned.
Dude, last year at TLC, I took Reckless Love out as one of the songs in my like 10 song catalog that I was going to do throughout the week. I think I did Reckless Love every single night, like every single day, because kids would continue to come up to either me or my friends that were up there
Oh, goodness.
and be like, is he going to do this tonight? Can you ask him to do this tonight? And I was like, please, no, I could never. I didn't do that song because I don't have a huge issue with that song. I believe there is definitely controversy with that song, but I tried to think of the thought behind it rather than the words. I don't
Exactly.
believe that the writer intended the word reckless to be taken super literally.
No.
And I mean,
he also wasn't writing a worship
Dude,
song.
Corey
either.
Asbury is wild.
Dude, Corey
I
Asbury
need
is
to hear this
hilarious.
story
He
because
is
I don't think I've heard this
wild.
song.
Yeah.
This story.
Holy
song.
smokes,
Oh,
dude.
yeah. He addressed it, and he wasn't thinking like too much about it, and he got a lot of hate for it. And
He's
I
just
don't-
like, I just put out a song that I liked, and you guys just like came in full stop.
well, because it got really popular and
yeah,
it's
exactly.
really
That was
got
his, I think that's his first popular song.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it got used in churches, and I actually don't have a problem with it at all. It's tricky because the term reckless love, it's not always the wisest way of phrasing it,
Oh, yeah.
especially with people who may not understand the intent
Yes,
behind
very
it.
much so. I agree.
And I think that's where a lot of people got confused because they heard God's love being reckless was like, no, it's not reckless. It's reasonable. It's he has reason behind it. It's not this thing he does. But I think the inspiration was like the prodigal son, and he's more like it. Reckless is more used as a verb rather than an adjective,
Right.
and it's an act of he's loving us. And would I personally use it different?
What.
Exactly. What I would personally use something different
Yeah.
if I wrote the song.
Yeah.
But and the rest of the song actually has really good lyrics. Like, I don't think enough people give that song credit.
Yeah.
But I definitely understand the issue there. And I remember you actually
Consistent is
changed
a better
you
word.
changed it to
for
restless
a while.
for a while.
I really like. I was trying to think of a word because I've kind of struggled with that song to a certain degree myself. But like I like the song, like you said, that has a lot of good stuff in it. But there's always that one word, reckless.
Yeah.
Consistent,
And so
I would say, is a better.
I was trying to think of a word that would flow well in the song, and I thought of the word restless.
Yeah.
Because
That's
it
a good
sounds really
alternate.
similar. It
Yeah.
has the same amount of syllables. It flows well.
Yeah.
A lot of times people couldn't even tell I was saying this
Yeah.
word. At my church, I would have the slides with the word changed in there. But
Yeah.
I only really stopped because I was doing it with the youth group kids where I wasn't leading the worship there. And when I was, it wasn't really my place to be changing that, I
Exactly.
felt anyways. And so I kind of got in the habit of changing it. But I do feel like with that song, important thing to do if you're doing it with a congregation that you have not expressed this to, or especially younger people, I've done this with it last year at TLC, is explained to them the thought behind it. And
Yeah.
That's great.
and
Smart.
explained
Yeah.
to
That's
them
really
that
good.
it can look reckless in our eyes,
right.
but that's not really
That's not
what
the
it
nature
is.
of what
Right.
it is. Yeah.
And so
that's great.
I would really advise anybody who's leading that song with new people that they don't know,
Yeah.
especially newer believers, to give that explanation. Be like, hey, we're not claiming that he is a sinful, like wrong God
Right.
for the way he loves
Of
us.
course. Right.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's a great way of looking at it. Yeah, he's actually hilarious. He's wild. Anyway,
Yeah.
just look at his Instagram. He's
Yeah,
hilarious.
it's hilarious and
God
also
has
like
an Instagram.
No, Corey Asbury.
Asbury.
Yeah,
I mean, the Pope's got an Instagram,
the Pope
like,
does
does he
have
really?
some-
or is it just
yeah.
Twitter?
No, Twitter. It's
Never
Twitter.
mind. Let's
Well,
not get
every
onto that.
famous person has Twitter,
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
except for me.
I guess that's
Yeah.
the old
I'm not
Pope
famous,
now.
though.
But
Or X, I should say.
I don't know.
Yeah, X.
Anyways, that was
Texting the X.
I think that's a good transition into the state of modern worship today. And now there are a lot of churches that still do hymns, or some people do more contemporary
Yeah.
hymns, contemporary style. You have like a lot of non-denoms that do like Calvary Chapel that just do a little bit of everything.
Calvary Chapel is actually the originator of Christian contemporary music
Yes. Yeah, they
way back
yeah.
in the 70s.
Oh yeah. No, that's
60s.
Huge.
Yeah.
But yeah, they do a little bit of
They do a little bit of everything, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. Very eclectic.
It also depends on the church you go to.
It definitely does.
Yeah.
The definitely not all
I
Calvary
mean,
chapels are the
you're
same.
gonna have
but-
different worship leaders that have different leanings.
Styles.
And
Yep.
exactly. And but there is popular Christian music. And I'm not just talking popular Christian music, because that's a whole nother conversation, but popular worship music.
Mm-hmm.
And the state of it right now,
It's very consistent.
it's
Yes.
it's very consistent.
There's a positive thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's multiple things to unpack here, so I'm going to be careful with how I lay this out, because there's a lot of opinions on this.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the big ones. You've got the big three. You got Bethel. You've got Hillsong United,
Yep.
and you have Elevation.
Yep.
And
Those
like
are-
Upper Room. There, I would
Upper
split
Room.
them in there. Too.
Upper Room is actually really big, and Passion too.
When is is Upper Room newer?
I
kind of.
as far as I'm aware, within the last few years, like I don't
They're
know,
a
3 to
huge
5 years, it
mega-church
seems like
now.
they.
Oh, boy.
It seems like they've really like come onto the scene.
Oh
in
yeah,
a similar way.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But it's kind of in the same vein.
I think
Right.
they're all of the. Yeah,
Yeah,
they do those big like. I don't even know what you'd call those videos that you see where it's like.
Inspirational type.
Yeah, they usually have like almost like mob style like worship sessions, and it's like
Okay.
a circle. I think it's Upper Room that does that.
Mm.
That has like a circle of musicians, and then there's just a bunch of people surrounding them. And
Oh,
Oh.
yeah.
I've
Like
seen,
Lifehouse. Lifehouse does kind of the same thing.
Yeah, Lifehouse has done that. Yeah.
Mafia style.
Which, yeah,
Now, I have a hard time because the modern day, obviously, we can agree that there's some emptiness in it. But if you look at kind of when they started to become popular, there were some good songs in there.
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
But ultimately, some of the theology there did sneak into a lot of their songs
Mm-hmm.
that if we're talking worship, I don't know if it's the best. Like if you want to
Yeah.
have that as Christian music,
yeah,
that's
It's better
fine.
than
Even-
listening to
even-
secular music for sure.
even some like there's some songs I do to this day that like I have some mixed feelings about, and again, anytime I have mixed feelings about songs, there's other stuff bringing me to
It's like
this
a
song.
yellow flag.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to be kind of careful of the people I do this
Yeah.
stuff,
Uh-huh.
these songs around. But dang it, I lost my train of thought.
It's
What was
okay.
I
The
saying?
choo-choo's coming back around.
I was talking about personal.
There it
Yeah.
is.
There's
Yeah.
there's so many of these songs that feels like they're being written as a very personal testimony to
Yeah.
somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's all cool for you,
Mm-hmm.
but like marketing this as a worship song feels a little icky.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sometimes when you're like trying to get people to sing about your personal
Yeah.
story,
Uh-huh.
where I'm like, this is not the case for
This is a testimony.
like
Yeah.
80% of these people, or
Yeah.
maybe more, or whatever. And I'm like, this is a little wild that this is they threw this in there, and it's usually in like the bridge where it's like, why? It's like you had good verses, you had good chorus, and then there's this
Don't get me started on the
weird-
bridge, dude.
weird
bridges.
bridge.
The bridge,
Some bridges are
bridges.
too long, dude.
dude. The song is this long, and then the bridge is this long.
The bridge is like 20 miles long. Too much ocean underneath. Let's just wrap it up.
Oceans,
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
literally.
Oh my gosh.
Literally, as soon as you said ocean, I'm just like, dude, that's perfect.
Just drop it. Oceans.
Oceans. Yeah, I that song was so popular.
It was.
It actually has some decent lyrics,
It
but yeah,
does,
the
yeah.
bridge is just too long.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, anytime I probably every song I do, because there are some Bethel and Hillsong and probably even some Upper Room. Rarely are there Upper Room songs that I think I'm not sure if I do any of their songs. but,
Right. Yeah.
But definitely some Bethel and Hillsong stuff makes it into my rotation.
Mhm. A lot of their
Uh,
songs are good.
And every time, there's no way that I am doing it, especially in that bridge, like the studio version.
No.
I take out a minute or two easily on a lot of those.
Nobody
wants to hear some-
Nobody needs to hear Dry Bones on repeat for
Some
10
are
minutes.
crazy. Some songs literally are like 11 minutes long.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, and seriously, like at least 6 of those minutes are the bridge because they keep coming back to it,
Yep.
or just keep.
It's
They
in
they
that,
go a really long time the first time, and then they go to the chorus, and then they come back and do it.
it's Exactly. It's in that
crazy.
vein of trying to evoke something. In the
It's an
crowd.
emotional
Yeah.
it's
It's
an
an emotional
emotional yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Uh-huh.
And that is what I would say most of the music, the composition of modern worship is around right now is emotionalism. It's like they're
Exactly.
trying to
Get a feeling out of people.
get a feeling out of people, which I mean in a way, yes, that should be
You
the
should
goal.
let the Holy Spirit do that.
But yeah, it shouldn't be us trying to. You gotta find the line between, am I trying to be a good musician and do a good job in this, or am I trying to manipulate people's emotions to like
the song.
like
Yeah.
this song
Yeah.
and just like
And usually
have a good time.
because like this was like half of my life was in this area, especially going to Bethel. The whole thing, the emotionalism is it's bringing about an experience with the Holy Spirit, and they're conflating that with the emotions, and so you feel that, and what you think you're feeling is the presence of God. Basically, is the whole vibe, and the issue is it's very man-centered, because I've had so many moments where I've gotten so emotional during worship. And when it isn't fake, right? When it's not this emotionalism trying to, you're kind of being almost forced into it.
Yeah.
It's always the lyrics. I've gotten so emotional to like hymns or
yeah.
and it's the lyrics. Like all of a sudden I'm thinking about the lyrics and I just like start like, oh my goodness. Like it really hits you. And
Yeah.
a lot of those hymns are so well written too. Not saying there isn't modern songs that aren't written well, but the hymns were they were written very
there
well.
was a lot of thought put into them.
Yeah. And I actually didn't really grow up on too many hymns. And so it was like different hearing hymns, and I'm just like, oh my
Those
goodness.
are written by geniuses.
Yeah.
Like hundreds of years ago.
And it just really like there's phrases and like how deep the Father's love for us, like those lyrics.
How
I'm
vast
just
beyond all measure.
and you just think about that and you're just like, what? Like that's worship.
Yeah.
Like to me, that's what worship is. And so I don't have a problem with some of the musical style. But when you have this trying to force emotionalism and it becomes more like you're trying to feel the presence of God, you're getting something. I want to feel the presence of God. I want healing, because a lot of those songs are like, in Jesus' name, you need to claim your healing. You need, you want to be healed. People want to be healed right now.
Like the generations.
That's in a
your
lot
children,
of worship
and your children,
songs.
and your children,
Yeah.
and their children, and their children. It's
You're
like,
getting
all right.
blessing from the song. And it's like that. I feel like that starts to turn you inward a little bit rather than praising God. Cause then you hear it's like, well, they say we thank God, we praise God in those lyrics, and some of them are good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But
We're not dissing all
sometimes people,
songs.
sometimes those lyrics are in there and it's because you healed me, because you're healing me right now as this song is playing.
Yeah.
That's what we're thanking him for. And it's just like it
Thank you
kind of
for healing
defeats the
me.
purpose of the message
Yeah.
a little bit.
It's like you're supposed to be worshiping God.
Right.
It's called worship.
Exactly.
I mean, the simplest songs will get me emotional. Like I Can Only Imagine.
Oh my goodness.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's such a banger.
Yeah.
Like bring back early 2000s,
Right.
like Christian contemporary. Those songs are amazing, and it's the lyrics
The
that
lyrics
get me
are
emotional, not the build up
amazing.
of the symbols and the whatever it's called.
But you know why that song is
The
so
dynamic
effective?
effect.
Exactly.
The song is so effective because of how he sings it, because he sings it well, because it's
pride
how
and
he
joy.
feels. He put
Yeah.
his whole soul into that song.
He
And
didn't
you
have
can
someone
feel
write
it.
for it. He
You can
didn't
feel
have
it.
someone write it for him and be like, all
No,
right, you're gonna
and-
sing this.
Yeah.
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 And how I don't know. I mean, I watched that movie and it's always a little sketchy basing your facts off of movies.
Right, exactly.
So I don't know how much stock to put in this, but I remember in the movie like him talking to somebody and like mentioning that it like really didn't take that long for him to write.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
not even that big big of part of the day.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
And
and
that's one of
he-
those things where it's like it just came to him.
You know,
and
it's from God. When
I
it
feel like
comes
the
to-
best writing like I've ever done is the stuff that comes out like that, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know if I would even pretend that this was me.
it-
Like I've had a couple of things like that where I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine myself being this creative. I can't imagine writing this.
and it sounds
to this
prideful, but
day.
it's not. It's like a
Like I'm not yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. I'm like, I'm not gonna pretend I'm this awesome. Like
Right.
this doesn't feel like it came out of me, and it there's something just very amazing about.
Yeah, if I was just writing songs to get an emotional pull on people, it'd be easy. All right, repeat this lyric 100 times and then have the
break-
music
you could literally like
slowly build
you can make
up.
it into a science of
Yeah,
like
exactly.
what patterns, and that's exactly what a lot of worship music is these days. Is it feels like it's a science of what
it's an industry.
what
Yeah.
can emotionally pull you.
That makes a lot of money.
music.
Oh my goodness, yeah, it does make a lot of money.
It makes
Anyway.
a real bad name
Yeah.
for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I totally get what you're saying, because like I've written songs where it just comes like that and it sounds good, and then there's songs that I really like the idea of, and it feels like I'm beating my head against a brick wall. It just like it takes forever, and
And even then you might have loved the idea and then you ruin it, and it's
Exactly.
nothing good.
exactly.
I can't tell you how many songs I've had like that.
Yeah,
But then there's that occasional one where I'm just
You
like,
wrote a
wow.
lot of songs though.
yeah.
Yeah, I've had a
You're good at
decent
writing
amount.
songs.
I
Oh, yeah.
appreciate it.
Oh yeah, really good at writing songs, and there's
Check out his stuff, guys.
oh yeah, check it out. I mentioned it before, but
I know, I'll mention it again midway. If you made it this far.
yeah, Joseph.
Check out his stuff.
It's going to be in the description below. But Joseph Lueras, Lueras.
Yep.
Yes, Lueras.
You got it.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
the name.
Yep. But yeah, it's good stuff. Now, what about hymns? Is it okay to modernize hymns?
I definitely can think of a very specific song I really love a modernized version of is there's this version, and I couldn't even tell you who does it because I remember finding them way back when I had heard it for the first time from a live band, and it took some looking to find the brand that they actually got it from. So
There's nothing but the blood, right?
It was Nothing But the
Yeah.
Blood, and that song is a great song, and it wasn't a super complicated change, but it was definitely like kind of changed it to a little bit of a rock version of it, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think it's okay to modernize songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as you're not adding like theologically incorrect lyrics to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's basically like how I look at it. Like if it's gonna get more kids involved,
Yeah.
if it's gonna spread the gospel more.
Let me phrase it a little bit differently. Should we do it? Not should we not do it?
Oh,
but
should we like on purpose?
I
like,
did
let's-
ask the question. I meant, but I think shifting it because I think we all agreed that it's okay to.
Yeah.
But should we
But
be
should
doing?
we do it? Should we very intentionally go
Yeah.
out of our way to do it?
Yeah.
I do believe that is a tool that you can use for like kids, for example, because
Yeah.
you might run into songs like Nothing But the Blood. No, none of the I've seen Nothing But the Blood as the original version out at TLC, and I've seen it as this other version.
Yeah, 'cause when they
I've
wrote
seen.
it-
And the kids that were listening to it done the original way several years ago, they were being so like disruptive. They were just talking to each other during the song. They did not give a crap. They were like, they did not like that song. They didn't want to waste their time listening to it because like the music was not interesting enough for them to care.
Yeah.
And the music can be a tool for the kids. And I think modernizing can be a tool to get them invested. And it might be getting them invested in a cheap way at first. But if they're invested in some way at all versus not invested at all, means they can kind of grow towards starting to listen, and you can encourage them, especially if they like the song, the way it sounds, you can encourage them
Yeah.
to like think about it.
Yeah.
Versus if they hate the music to begin with and you're just like, hey, listen to these lyrics and like realize how great they are, they're not going to do it.
No.
So I would say
Yeah.
yes to a certain degree, and in the right environment, you should.
Yeah.
I also believe, on the other hand, from experience with other groups, older people, sometimes you take modern versions of things and they're not into it. They're like,
Yeah.
this is not familiar.
You have to read the room.
You're singing it like differently than
Yeah.
we know, and it is bugging them. I've straight up been like, I feel like I'm being shunned as I'm trying to lead worship, and it's a horrible feeling.
Yeah.
You're just like, nobody's singing. This is super awkward. This is not the point of this. It's not a show about me. I don't want to be singing alone. Please sing with me.
Right. Exactly.
So there's definitely some songs like that where I'm like, I did them once or twice, and it just did not catch with certain groups, and I'm like, okay, that's not gonna work with them. I'll do what they know a little more.
There's nothing
Right.
wrong with adding drums to.
Oh yeah, that's a
Songs.
whole thing. Yeah.
That's the whole thing. Yeah, I know. It's like
Drums are great.
drums are great. I love drums.
Yeah, it's a thing in the Bible Belt with the thing with drums, and there's some like linkage with African like
Spirituality,
spirituality,
Oh, my
witchcraft,
word,
and
people, come on.
yeah, and a lot of that people blame the 80s. It's like, well, a lot of drugs came out of that and that type of music, and there's something to the simple 4/4 beat that draws something out of you. And I kid you not.
No, I'm sure you're telling the truth. It's just so funny.
I've heard that from people talking to me.
Oh
No, I've literally talked with people about this. It's an actual
So just
thing.
those drums are emotionalism.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just the drums. Yeah. I've had reasonable people be like, okay, if other churches do it, that's fine. With this particular church, yeah, I don't like it. So my convictions are leading me towards that.
And that's
That is
very
crazy.
fair.
And
I
I'm
think
fine
for
with that.
somebody
Yeah.
to have that opinion.
Yeah. But drums
That's
just
crazy.
drums keep it, they're a metronome. Now, some people who think this way, literally, because there's no rhythm holding things together, especially if you have some inexperienced people.
Oh.
Like literally. No, this is a lot of churches actually. This is a lot of churches. We're not throwing shade. We're not
No, we're
throwing
not.
shade. We're not throwing shade.
If you're one of
But
those churches,
but that is an
doing
opinion.
you.
That is an opinion.
Uh-huh.
I obviously don't agree with it, but it is their convictions.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah. For me, the argument about drums personally is just it feels funny to me because, like, what is music? What's the purpose of it being kind of God's form of praise that you see so much throughout the Bible if
Right.
it's not to sound good?
yeah.
And like drums to me is like it's another layer of music and
worship.
sounding good.
Uh-huh.
And I do believe that, and like I said earlier, there's kind of that fine line between, are you trying to evoke emotion with your music, or are you just trying to do a good job praising God in this form that He's given you? But I always lose my train of thought. Dude.
When you're
It's
when you're
horrible.
playing bass or playing drums, that's a form of worship.
Yeah, it is.
Like when I'm playing drums or bass, back when I did, I was worshiping God.
Yeah.
Through that instrument.
yeah.
And so it's just hyper legalistic to think that, playing the drums in church or whatever is, demonic. It's so funny.
Yeah.
It's
And I
crazy.
think it's cultural bleed over. So they're
Yeah.
they're kind of
But
in a
then
different
and then you
culture,
got to
too.
go like, okay, so then if that's the case, then originally how was the song sung? Probably without instruments.
Yeah.
So get off the piano.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Which piano is
It's
technically
percussion.
It is technically
instrument, yeah.
percussion, so
Uh-huh.
think about that.
I
but
feel. Sorry. go
I was on something that you said. Worship sounding good. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Worship sounding good is a big thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I think it's good to have inexperienced people, but you also want to find people who are gifted at it in order to you want your worship to sound good. You,
You
don't
should
want
have-
to take it seriously.
You really should have people that are good at it, trying to help other people get good at
Yes.
it.
Yes.
And if there's somebody that's simply inexperienced and just needs to practice,
Exactly.
Totally.
and and you can see them getting there, you might not need to have
Don't-
somebody like
Yeah. don't
tutor
have
'em or
someone
whatever.
learn how to play bass on the worship team. Wait if until they've learned it.
Unless you literally
It's the
have
si-
nobody else.
Unless you have, yeah, exactly.
I mean, there is
Yeah.
a certain level of that, because I would say that's actually a lot of what I did was
Yeah.
was learning through embarrassment, and for me that really worked. Is just going up there and like we had such a small
It's
small
very
thing,
small church.
but there was a certain amount of you do got to jump at a certain
Yeah, no,
point,
of
you know,
course.
and it's like putting yourself in that position.
Mm-hmm.
You should understand that you suck. And if you do, you're gonna be embarrassed
That's
and you're
part
gonna
of-
get
yeah,
better,
uh-huh.
and it's a good tool. But yeah, you don't wanna be a complete distraction.
Right. You
No,
want to know
yeah.
the basics. The basic. That's what I meant by that. It's like-
Exactly. No.
Yeah.
You're not like, hey, come play bass, and I'm gonna tell
Teach
you
you.
all of the places to put your fingers for every song. Like,
Halfway through the first song,
I'm gonna
be,
tell you-
Ow, my fingers hurt.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it
no
is.
kidding. Yeah, your fingers will get sore playing bass. Yeah, it's wild. But yeah, I think, yeah, I agree, because it should sound good, and but the thing is, you can kind of tell when somebody really wants to do it, and when somebody wants to do it, then you have them do that thing.
Exactly.
Like, okay,
Use your
you're
gifts.
good. You know, even you're inexperienced, but you want to do this, and this is a way you want to serve the church, and that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And you should be trying to make it sound good, sound cohesive. Actually,
course.
do. It's a form of ministry.
It is.
And when I find myself like just super happy with how the band or whatever's playing and sounding, I try and remember in those moments, like, to thank God that He gave this gift, and to remember that without Him, these sounds that are coming from wood and metal or whatever,
Non-existent.
they don't exist without Him.
Yeah.
And it's amazing gift that He gave us the ability to have fun while worshiping Him.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
It's
to manipulate our
like
vocal cords in a
like-
way that people can understand.
it's
Yeah.
pleasing to us as well as Him, and
Yeah.
there is that point where, like, not everybody can sing good. Sing
course.
anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who
100%.
cares?
We're not worshiping each
That's-
other again. We're worshiping God.
You don't have to sound good, but I think if you can, you should.
Yep.
And yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, yeah, you don't want to sound bad because you're not trying. 'Cause
Exactly, yeah.
You could have that happen.
Yeah, if God gave you a gift, use it.
use
and
it.
Be grateful that you have it.
100%. It's amazing. Another thing I wanted to bring up. This is kind of wild.
Let's hear it. Rip.
Okay. Because I know I've talked with you about this before.
Oops.
It's an idea that I had, and it's a crazy idea.
Uh-huh.
Because I think we were talking about, like, the idea of bands being in front, facing the audience and being in front of people, and just it was just a thought experiment of, like, is it a mistake to have that kind of
Interesting.
setup, and
Like, is it idol worship?
or kind of, yeah,
Right.
or is it putting too much pressure on the band to perform
Right.
than just having worship? And then not focusing on the worship part. And I had a weird idea. And I think Gregorian monks technically did this. What if you have the band in the back?
That is how they have a lot of, like, in monasteries.
Yeah,
The
monasteries,
choirs
exactly.
singing in the back.
Yeah,
That is a good idea.
yeah. But
Interesting idea. I should
the
say.
question behind that is, do you think the way that we have set up worship in especially modern churches, do you think that there's issues that come with that can come with that? It doesn't obviously always, but
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
definitely think that's something that issues can come of and frequently do.
yeah.
I feel like I honestly don't know if we have had this conversation. If we did, I do not remember it. But
It was brief,
that
I
is-
think. Yeah.
that is an interesting idea. I mean, the one thing that I think would be awesome is if you could just congregationally be, like, sprinkled in. But a lot of times,
yeah, true.
if the congregation's the right size, that's not really possible, because usually you want the stuff plugged in and everything.
I think it's more out
so
of
it usually is a convenience thing.
convenience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because to have all the chords.
It's not intentional.
No, it's
Yeah.
not intentional idol worship.
I mean,
obviously.
hopefully most
There's
of
some
most
people.
of the time.
I think there's some
Then
people.
you get the fireworks show,
Yeah.
which a certain church does, which
Multiple
we don't
churches
need-
I
do.
won't
Yeah.
talk about. You guys know if
If you
most
know, you
likely.
know.
If you know, you know. I think it can be bad for certain people that might be wanting to join the worship team for themselves
Right.
or to
Oh yeah,
plug
and I think
themselves.
that happens a lot.
But in general, I think it's just out of convenience to have where you worship, where the pastor speaks from. We're kind of like the main stage. It's not look at us, but it's like this is where we're gonna have all the chords and stuff leading to. So it's not just going wherever or
Yeah.
something.
It's
I think
a-
it's just like out
And
of
it make
convenience.
and it's like the pastor goes up there up front because obviously that's the best way for to communicate something to someone. And so worship has kind of fallen into
And
the same.
I was never personally like, oh, I can use this stage as, everybody look at me.
Yeah.
In fact, I was like, I don't want people looking at me when I'm leading worship.
I don't.
Don't
and
look at me,
That's see. That's the problems I always struggle
Uh-huh.
with. I'm too focused on that and not messing up. And sometimes it would get into my head. Like, I remember I had been doing worship because I do it for both you and Ryan when you'd switch off. And so I would do every week when I was super consistent with doing that. And I remember deciding not to one day, and I think I had Tyler went up and did it. I don't remember who it was. And I remember being so like it was so different. I felt relaxed, and I felt like
Oh, when you have to do it by yourself?
no, I was in the congregation.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
You
just
know
not
what I mean?
doing,
Yeah.
not being a part of it.
It's a different way of worshiping, but
Because you feel like no, the eyes aren't on you. It's like I'm part of the congregation.
you're part of the congregation and you don't feel any pressure, so you can worship freely. And I actually think you still can do that while you're
100%.
leading worship,
Yeah.
but you have
It
to
is-
get in the headspace.
It's a little bit difficult,
Yeah.
and there's a certain amount of like getting comfortable in the music to get to that point too. And
Yeah.
that's one of the really cool things about actually doing it in just a solid large band, and because
Totally.
doing it in a large band with, when I say large band, I mean more than 3 people.
Yeah.
Right.
It can be a lot of organizing and stuff, especially as the person who's gotta just run everything,
Right.
get the
Yeah.
music for everybody, and whatever all of the things that it entails. It can be a lot of work, but I was just amazed going up there and doing it for TLC a couple years ago when I was asked like a couple of days before the camp was supposed to start if I could do it because an emergency like dropout happened, and I was
Right.
like, heck yeah, I'll do it, but I'm like, I got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. I played with a bunch of people that I had never played with before, but they were the same people who were already planning on playing with the worship leader who had to step out.
Right.
And it was awesome because they were so unified that I could just like actually be there, not focusing on what I was doing all that much, and just focus on the worship and focus on like looking out and watching the kids' faces and just actually being in that moment
Yeah.
as like one of them. It was really awesome. And I try and whenever I do worship, I try and have that mindset of like, okay, focus on what you're singing. Don't just go through the motions, because it's so easy to go through the motions.
Yep.
And it's a good reminder to yourself, but there is something about having that big band, which can be really just, it takes a load off your shoulders.
Well, and
way.
confidence. Confidence is huge. And the more confident I've gotten, the more I can just vibe to it. And
yeah.
like playing with you, not only are we used to each other, but you're also you've practiced these songs a ton, and it makes it actually so easy to just be like, just go, and I can actually worship, and I can actually sing,
Yeah.
and like close my eyes and worship God as I'm doing it, and that feels good. That feels good. But confidence in having a band work together, because you know, we've all played with people who weren't experienced. In a lot of cases, we were those unexperienced people too. And the amount of concentration that takes.
It's a lot. It takes a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's yeah. Or you have somebody that's not confident. And again, I've been that person where I'm not confident and then I end up throwing everybody else off. And you have that with
It's easy
people.
to do.
And you're just kind of like, when you know somebody's messing up, you have to concentrate in order to rescue them a little bit. You kind of have to, okay, let's hide this a little bit. Let's go with it, because you can feel it. You can 100% feel it.
And then you'll like mention it to somebody that was out in the audience, and they're like, they have no idea what you're talking about.
That's the crazy thing, because
Yeah.
I'm always like,
I hear all the imperfections.
I can't tell you.
Same
I-
every time.
I had this one song one time where it was just I couldn't have imagined it going much worse without us having stopped. And I mentioned it later, and I was dumbfounded that like people didn't seem to notice, and I was like, you would have noticed if it went right, though. I promise.
Yeah,
like
right,
you would have
right, exactly.
heard the
Right, right,
difference.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like they didn't notice anything. Just that's one of the cool things about working with a band is you get to help each other, and it's kind of just a random thought. It's kind of cool symbolism to having a congregation that you're a part of and have people there to keep you accountable.
Oh yeah.
Kind of the same feeling
Oh, it's
of being in a band.
100%. I love it. It's so much fun. And I do like the feel, like, you know, kind of like the Gents Bible study feel. And
Yes.
And
Growing up in that was like, as a kid, I to this day can't think of worship that I enjoyed more than that. It was just such a cool feeling of just everyone grabbing, like just a bunch of people just grabbing instruments. They had a bunch of
Just
stuff there.
Grab what you can play.
Somebody would jump on the cajon. They had a few acoustic guitars and an acoustic bass, and
Yeah.
Michael had his mandolin, and it was always my favorite.
oh, it's so much
And
fun.
some of those songs to this day are just like that I hear.
Yeah.
Love them.
And I'm so glad, like, because I started doing worship for Bible studies and playing guitar, because that was a thing I was, well, and piano, but guitar is the thing that, you know, most people ask for. It's easiest to lead worship with, in a way.
Yeah, it is.
But also to build my confidence, because I was not very confident at all. And that was nerve-wracking, but it was fun because we're all a group and you feel a part of the congregation, so it's
Right.
easier. But bro, whenever you bring your mandolin or somebody else brings something, it's so much fun.
It's like
I
sharing the
meant
weight.
to bring it the other day.
Oh, it's
I
okay.
forgot.
You're good. Yeah, there was like
I need to
only a
fix
couple
that
people.
mandolin's
There's-
bridge so that I
yeah.
can play that when I forget mine.
There we go.
It's
It's
a little
so
out-
fun
off.
being like playing with people.
Oh my
it's,
goodness.
It's unexplainable.
Yeah.
Because you, even if you mess up, you don't feel like,
You're just having a good time.
unless you're playing the drums.
Yeah.
The drums
is a little bit more.
It's
it's
way
it's
more
horrible.
intense. It's like, dude, playing the drums has shattered my
There's-
confidence.
there's
It
a-
hasn't built it up. It's shattered it.
There's
dude.
a lot riding on you.
Yeah.
It's a big job.
Yeah.
If you have good timing, it's not as bad.
yeah.
Just like you just got to stay on it. Oh, yeah, I get that, because there's like you feel like you can do a fill, and then like I should do it, and then it doesn't sound anything like it did.
Yeah, you might be able to do
Exactly.
it just fine in
It
practice, but then
sounds
you
good in
try
your-
and do it, and you're a little too nervous, and your
no,
heart's
wait,
beating
yeah.
fast, and it throws. I swear, your heart's just beating out of rhythm, and it's
Yeah.
like throws you off.
Oh yeah.
Your metronome's not the same as what you're hearing.
No, exactly. Oh goodness, I can't do. Anytime I'm doing music production, I can't use a metronome. I hate the. Sometimes I use it, but
Very rarely. I almost always just make a drum track.
same. That's
super,
literally
super
what I do.
easy to follow.
Yep. You just make it make it a little like more creative, the better, because then it feels real. It feels there's a vibe to it. You can go along with it. But yeah, metronomes.
I'll usually
Yeah.
just do a simple 4/4 or whatever,
4/4 is
just
the
simple,
best,
and then
the
work
worst.
on it
Yeah.
later. But yeah,
Basic.
Yeah. No, it's good.
just it's crazy the way that's easy to follow, but the simple clicking.
Yeah.
It's really not that different to have the drums, but somehow it is.
It makes a big difference. Okay, it's been mentioned, but I feel like we should dig into it a little bit.
Let's get our shovels out.
Talking about performing. Obviously, number one, I would like to try that, like worship in the back and like see how it feels sometime.
I think
That would be wild.
yeah.
That would be wild. But I'm curious. But on the performance thing, how do you feel about like worship? We touched on it, but more on the emotionalism side. But there are churches that will do performances.
Nope.
Like you're literally you're putting on a show
Heck
intentionally.
no.
No. I mean, are we talking about like a play, or are we talking about like
No, we're talking about
lights
during
and
worship.
smoke
Yeah.
and
Light,
glitter?
smoke.
and-
Yeah, no.
absolutely not. That's manipulation.
The
100%.
dancers, they're what I can't remember what church that was. Actually, I
Okay,
might,
it's turning
but I'm not.
into
I'm
a
not going to throw names
production.
out because I'm not positive.
We're
on,
thinking of the same. I think we're thinking of the same.
yeah,
church.
but like having like professional cheerleaders like to dance on stage during worship, that's an all-time low. That was crazy.
yeah,
It's an insane vein of just vanity.
and that's way over the top
Yeah.
of problematic. Like
Yeah.
there are so many things so much lower than that are heck no's, and that's just like crazy.
Yeah, I just saw a clip of a pastor ride into the congregation on a roller coaster.
or the
A
like
roller coaster,
or like the like line that like
the
they
line
come
that
in-
brings you down. I always think like when I have these ideas, like imagine Jesus in the congregation.
would
like,
he be ashamed?
Would
of
he
me?
be like,
Would he walk out?
all right, bet, or would he be
I
like,
bet.
or would he be like, you know what?
Okay, I am
braiding the
gonna
whip.
I'm gonna name a name just because there was a conversation that happened recently talking about this, and whatever. Mike Todd is who I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
Mike Todd, he's big into the performances stuff. He was recently on Lecrae's podcast talking about it, and he was a musician and still is a musician, and he describes it as like, I have a creative mind. Like I want things to be like creative, and I want to like make things, and I want people to have a good time. And hearing his perspective, I understand where he's coming from.
yeah.
But I think that we should,
Avoid the appearance of evil.
yes, avoid the appearance of evil and like take it seriously. Like
Yeah, because at what point are people coming to church just for the performance?
Right,
Like we're
exactly.
taking the focus off of God.
it becomes distracting.
Yeah. Even if your intentions are good, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
people are gonna go because it's a cool show.
Yeah, exactly.
And even though some people are like, "Oh, that's how you get them in the door," no, because that's what they're there for.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not even like, for the sake of argument, let's just say he's not doing it to bring people in,
Right.
which I think he claims he doesn't, but
Come on. There's a little bit. Yeah,
probably a
come on.
little bit. But if he didn't,
Yeah.
give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yep.
You have to look at how that appears. Like I forget which one you said it, the appearance of evil.
Joe.
You got to avoid that. You got to
Bible.
avoid that. And it makes
Bible.
the Bible. Yeah. It's you got to be careful with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it becomes more man-centered. It just by proxy.
You're
and it's
idolizing.
like even if you as the person who's putting it together isn't thinking that way, and I'm like, no, I'm doing this for the Lord. And even if there's people in the congregation like, I'm doing this for the Lord, you've created an enormous stumbling block for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And some things are just not wise.
Yeah.
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 That is always my backup though, for any time somebody is like asking these questions. I always go to that in my brain. I was like, okay, there's always a certain level of like, people are gonna view this way and people are gonna view this way. But like, there is that general rule that's always your fallback. Like, does this look to the majority of the people, do I look wrong for
Yeah.
doing this? And if the answer is yes,
Then probably yes.
so let's stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be careful about that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
And to bring in a little bit of scripture here, I know we haven't, but that's because it's not talked a ton about. But there are principles, like we talked about the appearance of evil. Don't give a stumbling block to your brother, First
No.
Corinthians. But also, especially talking about the Church of Corinth, they were kind of crazy.
Yeah.
They were kind of crazy. They weren't
Probably didn't even have fireworks shows.
Dude. The fact that you can do that in a building is kind of impressive.
No, wait,
but
are you serious?
I'm pretty sure that's happened, hasn't it?
The fireworks shows?
Fireworks shows? Inside
I mean, technically they're not like
Oh,
mortars.
you're talking.
but
I see what you mean.
they're
Okay.
like
That's like the sparkler thing.
they're like pretty legit, like
Wow.
4th of July, like ground fireworks.
Wow.
I saw this clip the other day, and it's actually sad how funny it was, but. But this guy literally goes, "This is a song I wrote about humility." I think he said humility, and then immediately fireworks. And that's the clip. It's very
I did see that
intentionally.
clip, and it's an AI video.
It's an AI, but the thing. Okay, that's good. That makes me kind of happy.
It was because I
But
saw
I have
that
to say-
today. It's funny you should mention that. I was on my lunch break. That video. This is my
Yeah,
song
it's
about
crazy.
humility. Then the lights and the fireworks go
But
off.
the thing is, those fireworks, that is legit stuff that happens in
Oh,
these
yeah,
churches, and that's
100%. The
like
strobe
even
lights.
that is really funny that's AI, and I love that I actually got tricked by that because I usually think I'm pretty
You're
good
turning
about
into
that.
a boomer.
I'm old, guys, but it is sad though. That is real stuff.
Yeah.
Not quite that ironically,
Yeah.
obviously, but it happens. People are singing stuff about these supposed topics, and then they're
Yeah.
having these crazy shows.
Yeah. Well, and it's also a good way of putting it is there's a couple things the Church of Corinth is doing. Number one, they were taking they were taking communion, which was it was treated like a whole meal, like we're straight up doing the Lord's Supper, and they would get drunk, and
Yeah.
they'd eat a bunch,
Mhm.
and it was just like you're not treating it with reverence.
No.
And
It's the same thing.
it's
just
the same
different
thing
form.
in different form.
Yeah.
Like with worship, we are worshiping the creator of the universe.
Exactly.
And when we do it to get
we make
fat,
it about
so to
us.
speak.
Yeah.
to get drunk on our own pleasures, because going to a concert is so much
Fun.
fun. It is so much fun. But like, is that taking away from worshiping God?
Yeah.
And I think probably
100%.
yes.
They're different things. You can go to a concert and you can go to church.
Yeah.
Maybe you shouldn't be going to both.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
But now going to a concert is like, dude, totally go to a
Christian
Go to a
concerts.
Christian
Dude,
concert.
Christian
Heck
concerts. Bring the lights out. Bring the strobes, dude.
100%. Do all of it.
Rave. But church, no.
It's reverent. And I understand why people like Catholicism or Orthodoxy or even some of the mainline churches like mainline Protestant, like Lutheran, Presbyterian, Anglican,
Yeah.
because they do treat it, with any disagreements we might have with certain ones, they do treat it very respectfully. They're like, we are going to take this seriously. And I think a lot of churches can make the mistake of not taking it seriously and basically proving the Orthodox and Catholics right. Like, we don't take things serious. We don't take the Lord's Supper seriously enough.
Right.
We don't take worship seriously enough. We don't take prayer seriously enough. And I disagree with why they think that, but ultimately they got a point
Yeah.
in a lot of cases, because you definitely see that. You definitely see the especially with what we're talking about, with the performances, with the emotionalism, it becomes about something other than worshiping God, and you run into mistakes.
Yeah. And then that's when a lot of problems happen in the church.
Yeah.
And that's your first sign. And then your second sign.
Yeah.
And then your third sign. You keep ignoring them.
Yeah.
Soon you're teaching about LGBTQ stuff.
Mm. Yeah.
Another topic.
Yeah.
Not getting to that right now.
Yeah. Another.
That's
big
another
topic.
4-hour podcast.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. And I think with worship too, like we're talking about all these issues,
Mhm.
but there are also personal issues. There are personal stumbling blocks. We don't want to create stumbling blocks, but we also don't want to try to please everybody, because that's just not possible.
Yeah, there is a level where it's like you can't be like, oh, this person said they don't like this, but this person said they don't like this, and these two things conflict. And
That's a personal problem with the people, because you should not be like that in a church. You know, if somebody comes up to you, oh, the drums are too loud. It's like you can't. I mean, you play with quieter, and the next time the drums weren't loud enough. Bass is too loud.
Yep.
Bass is too quiet.
Yep.
You know, it's like
Yep.
talk louder. It's like you just gotta leave it and be like, all
Just
right,
trust
we'll
your
fix
sound
it.
guy.
Yeah, trust the sound guy.
Yeah.
Well, say you're gonna fix it. Don't do anything about it. And then I'm just kidding. Bad advice. Don't lie to people. But that's what I did.
Just say I'll check with my sound guy.
Yeah, I'll check with the sound guy.
Yeah.
That's what I did doing sound a lot.
Yeah.
Like I know what it sounds like in the crowd,
Mm-hmm.
and I have it tuned perfectly.
Yeah.
Pianist will think that it doesn't sound right because they might not have a personal monitor next to them,
Yep.
or it's turned down or whatever, and they're like, to the thing, and then I'll act like I do it, but I won't, and they'll play it, and they're like, and I'm like, and I would chuckle to myself up there in the booth, and I'm like,
Dude, that
you have
pianist
no
is
idea, dude.
listening right now. No, I'm kidding.
This is why you got to get your
Or
own personal
bassist,
amp
something
that
like
comes
that.
out of like two spots.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
have your amp that's just your
Yeah.
instrument, whatever. That's what I've started kind of doing
Yeah.
with a big stage kind of stuff. If I can,
I didn't
afford
do
it.
that often, but it was always funny because it's like, all right, it's already loud enough. Like,
Yeah.
I-
There's
Right.
there's certain people that you play with sometimes too that like things extra loud, and then some people that like them quieter. And
Mhm.
Yep.
yeah, there is
Yeah, whatever you're gonna do, stick with it, and
the
that's why
sound
you.
guy always
yeah.
gets the beef.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. The sound guy is that's why if you have a good sound guy that you trust, just leave it. Just none of the band talks to anybody. The worship leader talks with the sound guy,
Mm-hmm.
and then that way you have leadership there.
Yeah.
And even the worship leader has to trust the sound guy a little bit, be like, okay, no, I trust that it sounds good. But obviously the worship leader will have like, oh, I want this to sound a particular way. And the sound guy's like, sure, I can do that. And then trust him from there.
Yeah.
And there's a whole, we could nerd out about this for a long time because
Bassists having their own amps. Oh, I have beef with that.
yeah.
People bring their own stuff because they want it to sound
Yeah,
their
you do
way.
got to be careful about, well, like I said, having your own amp. That is just for your on-stage hearing. It should not be turned
Yeah.
up past a certain
No.
point.
Yeah.
People bringing their own.
It'll-
Like,
It's
it'll
not
mess
to
up.
project into the crowd. It's to face at you, preferably away from the audience.
exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dude, you gotta have monitors. You
100%.
gotta have monitors.
They did.
dude.
We did at church.
the
But
thing I
yeah, it was crazy.
loved about helping out with Faith Center though is they have the in-ear monitors, and everybody gets their own iPad, and
Yeah.
you have
That's nice.
everybody gets to adjust their own stuff in their ears. You can literally, if that person's bothering you, you
Turn 'em all the
can't
way
play with them. Turn them off.
Good.
You can't hear them.
Yeah. No, I think that's the thing. People might have an issue with that. And I'm like, if you have a big enough church, like
It's just a great tool.
you
dude.
just you have it. Like and if people think that's too much, what about before in big churches? What did they have to do?
Mm-hmm.
They built the entire church to make that work.
Yeah.
They
So if you
literally
think-
like scientific design to the building to
Yeah.
make stuff project.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, we have the privilege of having technology to help us do that. And I
Yeah.
don't think there's anything
And
wrong
foam
with that.
blocks.
No.
Yeah.
Foam blocks are awesome. Sound deadening boards.
Now, what's a great obviously when we're thinking about in scripture, we don't have a ton. And we actually do, technically.
Mhm.
I mean, all of the Psalms are songs
Yeah.
that David wrote.
Mhm.
And those were is interesting because those were worship songs, but they were very much like
Help me.
yeah, it was very personal.
Yeah.
It was very personal.
Yeah.
The Skillet actually, John Cooper actually said something about that.
Mm.
He said, speaking of Skillet, he said,
Let them cook.
I don't. People misunderstand when they're thinking about my stuff or Skillet stuff.
Mhm.
Like, don't play my music for worship. Like,
No.
I didn't make it for worship.
Yeah.
It's
like
not.
it-
No.
It's definitely not.
yeah. He's like, it's my job. I write music and I do it to the Lord, and I try to write Christian lyrics.
This isn't
I'm
something
not-
you like stand in a congregation and like worship to.
to.
Though.
He's like, no, you don't do that. And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, it explains it perfectly.
Yeah.
There's a difference between Christian music and worship music.
Mhm.
They're two different things. Two different things.
Yeah.
And I think there's a healthy distinction there. But yeah, with David, you could say that they were, because sometimes people will use them as worship songs,
Mm-hmm.
and that style of worship song is really good. That I trust you, Lord. And if you're looking at that, it's like all this bad stuff is happening to me, but I still trust you. The Psalms, what reminds me of a lot of the Psalms is how great thou art, or it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul in particular, because he's lamenting like the death of his family.
Yeah.
And he is like, but
It's okay.
it is well with my soul. And that there's something so beautiful about that.
It's like Job.
Yeah. It's like Job. Yeah. Job
That's
lamenting.
tough.
It's tough.
And to be able to have that perspective, talk about how close you are to God. If you can go through that stuff
Mm-hmm.
and be like, God's got it. I'm going to be fine.
Yeah. Sometimes it makes you, if you weren't close to God, it'll make you closer to God.
Exactly.
When you go through stuff, and
Yep.
then you sing those songs, and you get close.
And God will give you peace.
Yeah.
God's so good.
I know, He is so good, and that's the whole point of worship. That's the takeaway from all of this,
It's
right?
to magnify the goodness of God.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and be like, God loves us. He's given us His grace. Like, I love it's talking about modern renditions of Amazing Grace. Todd Agnew, Grace Like Rain.
Love Todd Agnew.
Yeah.
Barefoot.
Yeah, right. No, I got to meet him in person, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a really cool guy, actually. He was super cool and incredible voice. Like
Yeah.
on stage, like he, like even just talking with him, he has this projection. It's like, yeah, incredible voice. But he made this song that's basically word for word Amazing Grace, but the chorus is different, and he changed the way it is, way the music's written. And in the chorus, hallelujah, grace like rain falls down on me, and all my stains are washed away, is in that chorus. And like that's cool. Like
Yeah.
talking about a rendition of that song.
Yep.
The grace is like rain washing away the stains.
Yeah.
And it's just like that's a cool picture.
Yeah. And that's why I love people
Yeah.
who, not modernize, but like have their own versions of classic songs.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, it's your own art project.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
the
like,
glory of
I
God.
see this beautiful thing. It's like we do the same thing with Psalms. I wrote a song once based off of a Psalm, and it was actually really easy. It was really easy going off of a Psalm. It was kind of like you realize how structured it is, like
Yeah, the
how it's
lyrics are there.
structured
You
as
just
a
gotta
song.
think of a tune, yeah.
You just got to think of a tune, and
Yeah.
it's really, really fun. And I know poor Bishop Hooper. Poor Bishop Hooper.
I
If
knew
you're
you were
gonna
gonna
look,
mention them. I
yeah,
knew you were gonna bring them up.
I actually, what's funny is I didn't even think about bringing them up until just this second. I love poor Bishop Hooper, and they have they go through the entire Psalms, and they have their own rendition of it, and it's really, really cool. But yeah, worship is beautiful. Worship is beautiful, and that's why
Amen.
we're talking about this, not to bash anybody.
No, of course not. Just to talk about what worship actually is.
Yeah.
What it should be. What it's made for.
It's important. It's
Yeah.
important to be like, it should be important to us when somebody is doing something to compromise the message of what worship should be. And it can hurt people. It can give people a wrong idea of what
Yeah.
true worship is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why I think I mean, it's easy to see with the kids when they're going off the
Oh
rails.
yeah.
But it's definitely, I think, and I try and do this more. I don't do it a whole lot at my dad's church because it's a lot of well-grown adults that are like
Yeah.
you don't
Right.
you don't feel like you need to explain worship to them.
Uh-huh.
But to kids, just really explaining things and just giving them reminders outside of singing. Like it's not just singing.
Yeah.
Like you gotta
Yeah.
sometimes help lead them in that. Help make sure they understand what they're doing, why they're doing it.
That's why you do it.
Yeah.
All glory to God.
All glory to God. Yeah, having that mindset. That's a hard thing though. Compliments. Like when you get compliments,
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
a hard thing to deal with.
Thank you.
There's always
Yeah.
that side of you that's like there's the classic like I don't say thank God a whole lot and in that way where somebody
Right.
says good job and I'm like thank God like
You feel like
I
you're
don't
forcing
immediately
it a
point
little
that.
bit.
But exactly.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
there's always that side of me that's like I don't want them to think that I'm like being cheesy or like not cheesy, that's the wrong word, but like
Thank
faking
you.
it.
Thank
like
you
I'm
for
not just
acknowledging
I'm
my
not
talent.
I'm not
as a
saying
musician.
it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it to just say it because I think that's what they want me to say.
Right.
Whatever.
Right.
But there is always that side where I'm like, I need to remember when people say that I'm doing a good job. It's like, thanks, God gave me it. Like
Thanks to God.
without Him, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't got any of this. I could be mute. I could have no fingers.
Yep.
I
Like
wouldn't be here.
I
without that.
didn't make these things. I didn't program my brain to work the way it does. It's everyone has gifts that they're given by God, and I'm just lucky that this is one of mine.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing, and sometimes you can kind of get like it's it's not exactly a false modesty, but it can be kind of like that where it's just like I don't want to seem like I'm taking, glory for myself, or you feel that you feel that pride of like, oh yeah, I did a really good job, and you're seeking affirmation, which some people do really well with that. Some people don't. I struggle with words of affirmation because I'm like, I want feedback to know that I'm doing good.
Yeah,
And
me
so
too,
that can,
totally.
that can sneak in and be like, where you kind of crave that. And so when somebody gives that to you,
Just gobble it
now
up.
you don't know how to respond.
Yeah.
Because you can't
'Cause
hide
you're
the way
like,
that
yes,
makes
this
you
feels
feel.
great, and then
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, should I feel this good about
Right,
this?
exactly. It's that
I mean,
struggle.
I have over time gotten to the point where I can feel good about a compliment because of that, because I can remind myself. But it is difficult, and it does always take that. Like you do gotta remember every time and just try and be very conscious about it. But I like getting compliments, and I just really try and remember, like, yeah, isn't it awesome, like that we can just do this?
Yeah.
Like God gave me this.
Exactly.
That's how
Yeah.
it's
Like,
meant to
yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Let's gather together, worship God.
Yeah, exactly.
Use your talent to do that.
Yeah. I got a good one. This just came to mind that I might use. Somebody compliments you. It's like, you did a great job with worship today. And I could be like, oh yeah, you did too. I heard you. And then there you go.
That's good. That's a good idea.
Although you can't do that.
Thank you for singing.
You can't do that with sermons.
You can't do that with certain people either.
Or
You can't lie to people who are tone deaf. Thank you. You sang too.
Yeah. No, worship. Yeah, worship's a little bit easier than sermons. Whenever I
Yeah.
do a sermon, when people compliment me, that feels really difficult. Like trying to navigate the all glory to God with, in a way like what you were saying. I really like the way you said it, without seeming like you're trying to be
Holier than thou.
exactly. And yeah, because you feel like it's because of the process. Like when I'm prepping for messages, like that's something that's being preached to me, and I'm relaying it to other people because that's the way it feels.
Yeah.
I'm being convicted and encouraged, and I'm giving that to other people. So when people compliment me on it, it's kind of like, yeah, I did some of the work, but like I also didn't. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's like a
This is all
If you-
inspired by God.
right, exactly, and that's where you just say, yeah, it's because of God.
Yep.
It's because of God.
Yep.
I'm blessed to be put in that situation. And same thing with music, and music is such a gift.
It is.
It's such a gift. Well, that's probably a good place to call it. Why don't we pray and then we'll close out. Lord, thank you so much for this wonderful time. We get to have this conversation together, talking about how we worship you, and thank you for the gifts you've given us. And pray that this was an encouraging episode for those listening. And thank you that we get to be able to be here and do this in the first place, and that we have the gifts you've given us. And we pray that if somebody does have a gift for this, and pray that you would just encourage them to use it, because it is a needed thing. And pray that you would just encourage that in other people, and anybody listening who feels a calling there and wants to put themselves out there to help serve the church in whatever way. Pray that you use that. And I pray that you would give us humility and not let pride get in the way of worshiping you.
Yes.
Thank you and praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us. And it was great. That was a great conversation.
That was great. I loved it.
That was awesome. And we hope you guys enjoyed it. You know where to find us. We are on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, wherever you're listening on this, plus everywhere else. And if you want to reach out, we're on Instagram, bros.andbiblenerds. It's our tag on Instagram. That's the easiest way to reach us. We're pretty active on there. So if you message us there, we'll get it. Like, subscribe, follow
Joseph.
Yes, follow Joseph.
Jose.
Oh,
I go by Joe normally. So
yeah, it's
weird.
Joe. It's just like
weird.
saying Joseph. Just
Almost nobody calls me Joseph.
exactly.
So,
but
I
yeah,
just did because that's
Yeah.
all
That's what is it. That's what it is on
Joseph
Spotify
Lueras.
and
Yep.
Apple Music, and
it's great music.
hopefully anything else you look me
follow
up on.
Jojo Potato.
Follow Jojo Potato. Links will be in the description below, and
It's gonna
and
be my ghostwriter.
leave a. I'm gonna be your ghostwriter. And leave
I mean, no, it's
a
not.
review of if this encouraged you, or you thought it was completely wrong and disagree.
Yeah.
You know?
We want to hear it all.
Hear it all, and we'll talk about it.
Give us opinions.
Yeah, give us opinions, give us all of that encouragement and rebuke. But that's all we got today. Now, one thing you got to remember though is to stay nerdy, but especially about the Bible.
The Bible.
See you guys later. Love you guys. God bless.